From the creepy swamps deep in the heart of Cajun country, I welcome you to Fave Five From Fans, the podcast where I, Jamie Ray, your humble host, invite a friend of mine to create a list of 5 of their favorite things that we have a shared interest in, be it movies, books, TVs, toys, or whatever. Our own unique Venn diagram of topics near and dear to our hearts. We will then sit across from each other and to compare and contrast, dissect and disseminate our choices for you, the listening audience. We'll start off with honorable mentions, those selections that didn't quite make the Fave 5 for good reasons or bad, and then we'll take turns unveiling our choices backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You'll hear us discussing everything from alien invasions to zombie attacks, Rom the Space Knight. That's right, folks. We're finally going to talk about Rom the Space Knight, to musical numbers, Edgar Allan Poe to Stephen King, both literature and film adaptations. All that's left is for you to decide who's right, who's wrong, and will we still be friends after all this? I can't wait to get started, so please sit back, strap in, and get ready for this episode of Fave Five From Fans. Greetings and felicitations, podcast universe. So thrilled to be bringing you another episode of Fave Five From Fans. Sorry we missed out last week. I had a visit from Laura. You may know her, and she's kind of a busybody. Had to have things her way. But we're back this week, and I've invited a very good friend of mine to discuss a topic near and dear to my childhood heart. We're going to be talking today about toys. Toys that make us smile, toys that make us laugh, but these toys are the ones that we never got. And to discuss it, I've invited a close personal ROM pal to the Plastic Microphone Studios. Lee, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Galadorian greetings.
Galadorian greetings, my brother. So this has been a long time in the making. We are 27 episodes now, and I've talked about Rom the Space Knight at the very beginning of all of them. And finally, we're going to talk about some toys. And we're going to I'm sure we're going to talk about Rom a little bit. But really, it's going to be about Christmas bygones and those toys that we never got as a kid. But before we get into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what brings you here, and just blow our minds.
Oh, dear. No pressure. I am Lee Seitz. I am sometimes known as Eclectic Lee, although that's more for the comedy music people. The way you and I got to know each other is because I have this little website called Rom Space Knight Revisited.
Yeah, you do.
And so it was, as far as I know, it was the first site on the on the web dedicated to Rom. Not as updated lately as it should be, but anyway, it's still there. I poke it every once in a while.
Poke, poke.
So anyway, you contacted me, I believe. It was probably through Twitter, but because I was tweeting about Rom, or Rom Space Knight himself retweeted me, or something. Anyway, something like that. And then you made me a Rom pal, and made me very happy.
Oh, I didn't make you a ROM pal. You were already a ROM pal.
Well, okay.
You just didn't know it yet.
There you go.
So for anybody who doesn't know, ROM pal is a little group of ROM fans that we have here on Twitter and sometimes on Facebook. There's several groups out there, so we cross over back and forth. And basically, we just share things that we love about ROM every once in a while. Yes, there actually is new things going on with ROM. I think this week, for the very first time, we saw some Earth's Mightiest Heroes Avengers artwork that could have had ROM in it had there been a season 3. So, I mean, 1979, he's still cranking this stuff out. So, anyway, it's a lot of fun. So, if you're out there, you can check us out. We're at the ROM Pals on Twitter, and your website is
long. All right, I'll say it once, but you're better off just Googling ROM Space Knight Revisited. It's http:// home.com/. highway, HIWAAY, there's 2 A's, .net /tilde LKSEITZ, which is my name, and LK Sites, /comics/ROM.
So you got that out there, right?
Just Google it.
Just Google it.
Revisited.
And there is some amazing stuff on there, especially if you have any interest in ROM. It's got nearly, I think, every appearance. Every once in a while, you find something that we didn't know was still out there, but it's pretty comprehensive.
Less so than it used to be.
Yeah,
I've got somebody who's found a ton of stuff, and I just haven't managed to update it all. That's the part that's out of date.
Ah, well.
But anyway, I think the main stuff you need's up there. As long as you are interested in the Marvel version of ROM. I haven't done anything for the IDW version yet. I need to, but I haven't.
Yeah, there's some good stuff for that. But yeah, the Marvel is where our hearts are. So, well, that's some good stuff. And so this is not a video podcast yet, but if you guys could see what I see, Lee has his beautiful in the box ROM figure sitting behind him. I won't say that he's teasing me with it because I know he loves the toy, but it's doggone it, it's right there.
That was a present from somebody who enjoyed the website so much. I don't know that I would have one if they hadn't been so generous as to send me that.
That is pretty amazing. You put a lot of work into that site, and like I said, for me it was and still is a huge research mecca to come to when I'm looking something up. So all hail Lee. Thank you very much, sir. We're not worthy.
Thank you for the kind words.
So, now that I've kissed your butt enough, let's talk about what we've came to. But before we do that, I tasked him just a day or so ago before we were going to do this show, to tell me what was your favorite toy when you were growing up. And I'm sure you've come up with one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'd like you to lay it on me. Tell me what it was and tell me why it was your favorite toy.
Okay. So I actually started thinking about all the toys I ever had. That's a lot. So I am the only child of an only child.
Oh.
So I may have been a little spoiled. Just a teeny bit. Anyway. So you ask me again in a month, maybe my answer will change. But right now, I think what I decided it was, despite all the Star Wars toys I had, and other things, I went with the Hot Wheels Thundershift 500.
Oh, what?
Which I could not remember the name of, but I like that I found it online.
Thank you, Google.
Yeah, so what this was, it was a racetrack for your Hot Wheels cars.
Mm-hmm.
It actually came with 2 cars. It came with a red one and a yellow one. They were like stock car, NASCAR race cars,
mm-hmm.
with less logos on them. So it had 2 lanes. It was an oval track. The far end from the start line was raised, had a little stand that went around the track so the cars went underneath it. Unless you did something wrong, then they crashed in it. But anyway, the main feature of this thing was at the near end, the near end of the oval, you put the 2 cars in, and there were 2 levers on either side of that oval that you grab and you pull it real quick and let go. And what that does is that makes a lever pop up out of the track behind the car and shoot it forward.
Get out.
And the trick to doing well at this is when it comes back around, you have to hit that lever again at the right moment.
Oh, yeah.
Shoot it through again. Usually that's toy I've forgotten. I think I want to say it came out around like 75. So I was not even in kindergarten yet, possibly, when I got it. So I think the car would probably make it around twice. So from a start,
Right.
but eventually it would lose and fall off the track because of the angle at the end, at the far end. But more often, well, not more often than not, but frequently, you hit that lever just a little too soon.
Yeah.
And your car went flying straight up in the air off the track.
Oh.
Or flying somewhere.
See, I don't remember that toy. I remember the one that had the little wheels on each side of it, and you would pump it, and it would shoot the cars through.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's along the same lines.
Yeah, it's similar to that, except this one you had to get the timing. That one, the one you're talking about, was just as soon as the car hit it, the two wheels shot it through. This was, you got to get that timing down. It's all up to you. You've got to handle it. And eventually I had it for a lot. The pieces started disappearing. It had like little flags that went on the track and all.
Okay.
And eventually stuff started disappearing, and we had to my parents reinforced the cardboard with popsicle sticks because the cardboard was bending. But I kept the track, kept all the pieces of the track, so I could still play with it until I sold my entire Hot Wheels collection.
I heard this story.
Oh yeah,
the Hot Wheels.
Day. Yeah. So this was like my first Hot Wheels set ever.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was in grammar school I decided I would start collecting Hot Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, after I got married, I come from a family of pack rats. So I still had all my cars were still at my parents' house after I think it was after I got, could have been, maybe we were dating. Anyway, some point after, in college or later, somebody put an ad in the newspaper or something saying that buying Hot Wheels, and it was at the local flea market. And so I took it down and I sold him all my Hot Wheels stuff for way too little money.
Yeah.
So it's all gone now. But so I'm sorry, there was a point to this. So what I learned when I sold it, if you know anything about Hot Wheels, you know the original cars had little red lines on the tire. Little red lines. So this set is that old. It was like coming in at the very end of the red line era. What, that yellow car? I told you it came with a red car and a yellow car.
Right.
I may get it wrong now. One of those two cars, I think it was the yellow one, but now I'm not sure, only came in that set. You couldn't get it any other way.
Wow, exclusive.
So this guy was trying to get a mint collection of red line Hot Wheels. When you're flipping that thing with that lever and it goes flying, it doesn't stay mint very long. So I did not provide him with a mint copy of one of those cars.
Yeah, but he still got it.
He still got it. Yeah.
What a joke. What a joke.
Well, it's my own fault. I named my price, and I should have known better.
Yeah. Well, we live and we learn. That's what eBay's for, right? We can go back and get that stuff. So, well, my number one favorite toy has got to be the Big Jim pack figure of the Commander that had the cool little wristband that you could open up, and it had a sticker in it. I mean, it had a communicator on it.
Buzz Lightyear to Star Command.
Yeah, exactly. But I loved those toys. But of all of them, that was probably my favorite one. I had a bunch of them. I had the laser Corvette. I had the pickup truck that had, what an exciting toy to have an RV, for your soldiers.
I had the RV.
Yeah. No, like I'm saying it actually had a camper on the back of the pickup. Big Jim himself had an RV.
Yeah, okay. I had the back. I had the RV.
Yeah, that tan one.
Not the truck. It was kind of a big boxy thing with wheels.
Yeah, those were cool.
That was used from a yard sale.
Well, still, is it behind that screen?
No, no. All those toys. I will bring that up again in a little while.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, moving on then. Moving on.
Oh, but I'm sorry, but otherwise I wanted to say I didn't have any clue who Big Jim was other than getting that RV.
Really?
I don't remember the Big Jim toys.
Oh, wow. I loved them. Because before the pack came out, I had I had like I had him and Jeff and one of the other guys, and they had the karate action, and they had the cool muscles where when you would pull the bicep would come up, It's like,
Okay.
yeah, work it. But anyway, I think now we've got that out of our system. We need to talk about the toys that we never got as a child. Now, for this list, you can have this toy now. That's perfectly acceptable.
Oh, good. I don't have to change my list now.
But it's the toys that when Christmas rolled around or our birthday candles had to be blown out, that toy that we wanted was not there. And so I let you pick a couple of honorable mentions, as is right with the show. So why don't we start off and you give me your 2 honorable mentions?
Okay. So I actually only had one honorable mention until yesterday.
Ooh.
I don't remember what triggered the thought, but I suddenly realized, oh, yeah, I should. That obviously deserves to be on my list, because what it is in the Transformers, there was one of. Let's see. Well, I'll tell you what. Okay. So that's your tease. It's a Transformer. So what happened was, I realized yesterday that they have reissued one, which is your second hint. They reissued this one, a Generation 1 toy. I saw it in the store when I was buying presents for my son's birthday a couple months ago.
Dad got a present.
No, I was like,
oh.
But anyway, it was Astro Train, the triple chain.
Oh, yeah.
He was a train, he was a space shuttle, and he was a robot.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so it just so happened. So I watched the Transformers TV show. I collected the comic. I was never into the toys. Kind of backwards.
That's the whole point. You missed it.
Yeah.
You were supposed to buy the toys to go along with it.
Yeah, well, so I was in high school when Transformers was coming out, so I had other things to spend my money on. Actually, mainly comic books, probably. So I did get a little Bumblebee at one point, and he is MIA right now. I got to figure out what happened to him.
Yeah,
but I never got the Astro Train, which I'm sure wasn't quite as cool looking in person, doing that triple change thing as he was in the TV show and the comics.
Oh, it probably didn't even make the noise.
Oh, no, no, probably not. But I suspect part of the reason I liked it so much was because my father is very into trains.
Uh-huh.
Theoretically as a model railroader, although he hasn't had one set up in decades. And also, of course, I'm interested in science fiction and astronomy and that sort of stuff. So I suspect that's why I always wanted that particular Transformer.
Yeah. That's a cool one. Astro Train.
Yeah. So that was my first honorable mention.
Okay.
The second one, which I remembered it, and I was like, and it just didn't quite make the list.
Uh-huh.
It was kind of a toss up, but and you may think of the wrong thing when I say this. It was called the Dungeons and Dragons computer fantasy game.
Okay.
It was by Mattel Electronics. So what happened was Mattel, I think it was particularly Mattel Electronics, made a licensing deal with TSR. Okay. TSR were the originators of Dungeons and Dragons.
I remember them well.
Yeah, before Wizards of the Coast bought them. So from that licensing agreement, they did 2 Intellivision games, or at least 2. And they did something called the Dungeons and Dragons Computer Labyrinth game, which was a big plastic square, few inches thick, and I should have, even though this is a podcast and not a video thing, I should have grabbed mine. I forgot to do that. Anyway, it has a bunch of red squares on it. You take your figure and you go around the maze and find out where the walls are, and then you find the treasure, and then you want to avoid the dragon. Anyway, That's the one most people are going to think of. That's the Dungeons and Dragons Computer Labyrinth game. What I'm talking about, though, is the Dungeons and Dragons computer fantasy game.
Right.
It was about the size of an audio cassette.
Okay.
It was an LCD game.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know those games.
Yeah. So this one, you're trying to go around the dungeon and find the dragon. Actually, you know what? Let me read you the description from and so I found the instructions online, which are now way too small. Sorry. Slay the evil dragon as quickly as you can. Avoid flying bats and pits that trap you. Find the magic arrow and shoot the dragon. If your aim is good, you win. Score shows your game time. Be wary, but be fast. If you enter the dragon's lair, he'll devour you. If you take too long, the dungeon door will close, sealing you inside.
Wow. So, have you picked that one up yet?
I still do not own one of those.
No. Okay.
But so this came out, I think around the time I was in middle school. It's probably early 80s. Yeah, early to mid 80s. And I think if I remember correctly, one of my friends in middle school had one, and I got to play it briefly.
Uh-huh.
And of course, he didn't have the instruction book with him, so
of course not.
I was just kind of I guess he probably told me something, but I was not too impressed actually once I finally played it. I was like, is there any logic to follow where? Do you have any warning that you're going to fall into a pit or a bat's going to attack you or any of this? So I'm not sure. So just for the podcast, I found the instructions. So afterwards, I can go read the instructions and find out how to play. Yeah. Maybe it'll all make sense.
And then you just have to find that guy, and see if he still has it. Hopefully, he put fresh batteries in it.
Or maybe I'll look on eBay.
So those are some good ones. So for mine, I went back and kind of thought. Now I am one of two kids. My brother's a few years older than I am. And we didn't really play together a whole lot. We did, I guess, when we were younger, but a lot of my play was I was all into different things. I did Legos a lot, but I built things for my other toys, like for my Buck Rogers toys, or for whatever. But one toy that I always wanted, and I don't know why I never got it, because it costs just a measly $1.25. And it was on the back of practically every comic book from the 1970s. I'm talking about the 100-piece toy soldier set from Lucky Products. It comes with 4 tanks, 4 jeeps, 4 battleships, 4 cruisers, and on and on and on, and a bunch of those little guys. And it comes in a 6x3x3 foot locker where you could write your name on the side of it. So you know the one I'm talking about, huh?
I know exactly the ad you were talking about. Yes, that ad was everywhere.
Everywhere. And when I did a little research, I saw that it actually had evolved a little bit throughout the 70s. Of course, I think the price went up too, a little bit. But I remember that you cut out that little coupon and it says, "Here's my $1.25. Rush the toy soldier set to me from Westbury, Lincoln, and New York, New York." So anyway, I just always thought that was cool. I had, of course, toy soldiers, but I never had that whole set, So, yeah,
I had a set of toy soldiers, little green army men.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember where they came from.
Oh, you could get them everywhere, but
but I don't remember how mine acquired. And I told you, Pack Rat, they are still at my parents' house. They're still in that original. They're not original. They are still in the bucket, which I've forgotten now what the bucket is that I kept them in.
They did come in buckets at one point.
This one doesn't say Army Men on it. I forgot. This is a completely different product. Something I don't know where my parents got it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's still sitting on the shelf in my parents' living room, and my youngest son now loves playing with those anytime we manage to go down there.
That is so awesome. I mean, 30, 40 years later, and that same simple toy can bring so much joy to a kid. You don't have to have a 3D computer graphic game to inspire a kid to play.
I'm not sure I can convince my children.
Well, my second honorable mention is even more, or I don't know, I guess it's even less low tech than that one is. And it came out in 1975, and I remember wanting it so bad, but my parents felt like it was too old for me and that I might cut a finger off while I was whittling away on my Milton Bradley Shrunken Head set. Do you remember this one?
No.
It was an Apple sculpture set. And it was one of the ads on the back of the comic books. And the cover has one of my favorite actors of all time, Vincent Price, holding up two little apples that you would whittle the face and stuff into. And then I guess you'd put it in I don't know. I don't even remember, to tell you the truth. I didn't have the toy, so damn it, I'm not going to go back and relive those harsh memories. But you could get it, and it would come with different hairs, and it would come with little things that you could put on it, and then the apple would start to shrink up as it dehydrated. But there were some cool. There was even a TV ad I remember seeing with Vincent Price on it, and I'm thinking, oh man, Vincent Price is awesome. And of course, then I realized he actually hadn't probably sculpted those, but still. Damn it, he still did Dr. Fives, and I love him.
What companies? I do not remember this ad. What companies' comics did you tend to buy around that time, or as back issues have you bought? Or
no, I was buying a lot of DC back then. When I was a kid,
That's probably what it is. The only DC I bought when I was younger really was Super Friends.
Oh, okay.
And those issues were usually not. They were kind of far apart. So,
this was another Milton Bradley toy.
Okay.
Which I'm already starting to hear several times. I wonder how. I mean, Milton Bradley was huge. Now that I go back and look at it, I remember they put out another toy back in like 1979. It was like an electronic toy. It was silver. It was like a robot man or something.
Are you talking about Parker Brothers?
Parker Brothers, that was it.
Not Milton Bradley. Those were competitors.
I know. I'm getting ahead of myself though. Okay. So now that we've played around with our honorable mentions, I think it's time to attack the list.
All right.
So why don't we start off with your number 5 favorite toy you never got as a kid?
Okay. So, you mentioned, I'd forgotten now if you named everything I had behind me, but you mentioned something I have sitting over my shoulder. There was a toy called the Starbird, and I didn't know it until, well, maybe 10 years ago. Wow, how long has it been? Anyway, some number of years ago, that the same guy who created the electronics in ROM created the electronics in the Starbird. I'm talking about Bing McCoy. There we go. I don't remember his name. Anyway, so the Starbird, which is not my number 5 pick. Why am I trying? It's an audio thing. Why am I trying to turn around and grab it? It would react to if you point it down or point it up. It would make this engine noise, and it would have changed depending on how you angled it and such. Right. My best friend in elementary school, hi Cody, we're not in touch anymore, but if you happen to hear this, he had one, and I always thought it was very cool. So, but what I wanted was the Starbird Intruder, which was black. But it was also basically, all right, so the Starbird comes apart. You can take off the front and take the engine out of the back and stick it on the front, so now you got a small ship, and then there's a little, it turns out that the big casing on the front actually comes off, and there's an even smaller cockpit inside. So the Intruder was black, but it was basically like that front piece of the ship. Maybe a little bit extra on it. So I wanted that because, then he and I could play and we could
Right.
see each other. And so I wanted the intruder. I don't have an intruder, but yes, I did pick up a Starbird a few years ago.
I see that.
There was a local comic book store, comic and toys. They also did some toys going out of business.
Oh.
Well, let me rephrase that. They were closing their retail location. It was a guy who went around to he basically spent his weekends at cons selling and buying.
What
toys,
a glorious life.
Yeah, toys, cards, and comics. So they had this in the shop when they were closing. It's complete. It's all there.
Wow.
The box is there, although it's got tape residue on it, and it's coming apart. But
still looks beautiful. Looks beautiful.
Yeah, and I believe I got it for like $20. The battery, the 9-volt battery clip is broken. One of the two contacts is broken off. I bought the bits I needed to take the thing apart. I bought the battery new battery clips I need to solder on. Yeah, I did those two things. I still haven't changed out the battery, but I have everything I need to do it. One day.
You should, just pick a weekend. I don't know, maybe the next 3-day weekend coming up. Labor Day?
Might take me that long to
I want to see that thing working. Yeah, I want to see it. And do you know why I want to see it working so bad?
Why do you want to see it working?
Because my number 5 is the Starbird.
Wow, that didn't take long. Match.
I didn't want the Avenger. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know there was an intruder. I knew there was an Avenger, which was basically, it looked like the same one. It just had different stickers, I think.
I think so.
But the Starbird command base.
Yeah.
That's what it was all about. But I had that kid in my neighborhood, that one kid who had all the toys, and he had one. And I can remember going over to his house and, hey, Steve, can I? Yeah. Oh God, I love that toy so much, and never got it. But to be fair, I don't know that I ever asked for it, because I remember making lists and getting, what stuff off the list sometimes. But I just remember when I started looking this back up, seeing that, and I think it popped up. Did it pop up on Twitter, like on your feed or something, not too long ago? Maybe it was on Facebook.
I think did I mention I've this kind of stuff's been on my mind here, so I may have possibly have mentioned it.
Yeah, it's always cool because it's kind of got like the R2D2 thing on the back.
Oh yeah, which
I think it's actually like I don't know, was it a turret or something?
It's a turret. It has a gun there, and also it actually comes out. It's actually a ball.
Oh, okay.
It helps if I hold it up high.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I definitely think it was supposed to look like an R2D2, just for the positioning and everything else. But
I thought about that too much, but
yeah, that was it's such a thing of beauty, man. I want to see those cannons light up soon. You hear me?
All right, you give me motivation. I'll put it on the list of all the things I have to do.
Yeah,
I'll move it a little higher on the list. Oh, and we should say you were talking about Milton Bradley. That's who made the Starbird.
Exactly. Milton Bradley came out. The first, the Starbird itself came out in 1978. And then I believe the Avenger and the Command came out in 1979. And I don't know about the Intruder. I'm assuming it's probably 79 or 80.
I'd probably go with 79.
Yeah.
And you mentioned not asking for it. That was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty sure I remember at some point my mom and I were in Service Merchandise. You remember Service Merchandise?
Yes, I do.
I'm pretty sure I said something at some point. It's like, oh, look, they've got the Intruder. That would be cool to have. And I didn't get it.
No. Oh, thanks, Mom.
I should maybe give the disclaimer now, because I suspect my mother might actually listen to this.
What? That would make 7 people who listen to this podcast.
I'm not saying she's going to listen. Keep listening.
Oh, okay. There you go. Whew. Got to be worried there for a minute.
And she, when I was making this list, I started going through all the toys. I was like, wow, I actually didn't want for a whole lot. Like I said, that only child of an only child thing.
Uh-huh.
I think that really, I had to work to make this list to really think of the stuff I really wanted that I didn't get, because I got an awful lot of stuff.
Well, that's an awesome childhood.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. So speaking of that list, what's your number 4 toy?
Number 4 is kind of an off thing. I think it was only available from Sears. I don't think it was something you got anywhere else. It was called the Highway Police Chase. That's police-chase.
Okay.
Don't know why, but anyway. And I'm pretty sure I remember seeing this. I know for a fact I found it. It's in the 1977 Sears Wish book.
Oh, I love the Wish book.
Yeah. I distinctly remember at least one year, and I'm pretty sure it was 2 years in a row, getting the Wish book and circling that at my grandparents' house. Like, I want this
right here.
And I don't remember what I got instead, but I didn't get that. I'm sure I got something wonderful, but it cost $12.95.
Oh, come on, Grandma. Y'all could have done that.
Batteries not included.
Well, okay, batteries are expensive.
Well, let's see. It says a package of 4 batteries cost 99 cents.
Oh, that puts it almost $15, man.
Yeah, but it was 1977. That was a lot of money in 1977. So what this was, it was kind of a light blue track that you put together. It had all these curves and on ramps and off ramps, even though it was all self-contained. It had little highway signs and lights, street lights, and it had 2 battery-powered cars. There was a red sedan and a black and white police car. And honestly, that was about as much as I remembered until I found it in the Wish book. So what happened was that both the cars go the same speed, but it's got all these little gates and things that you go through, and you can change. So you change where the car is going, and you're trying to, I guess you get a friend, and one of you is trying to get the police car to the red car, and the other one's trying to keep the red car away from the police car.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
So
that sounds like a cool toy. That actually on my short list that didn't make it was the Tyco Police Pursuit slot car race set.
I remember all those slot car sets.
Yeah, that was the one that had the Smokey and the Bandit car. But it wasn't Smokey and the Bandit. It just happened to be a black Trans Am with gold, Firebird look.
Yeah, just like Hot Wheels just happened to make a black Trans Am with the gold Firebird.
Exactly. Yeah, those were cool. I never did a lot of slot cars. I was actually a train man myself. My dad had I still have parts of it. We used to take it out for Christmas and put it around the tree. But that's good. So yours, when you say it was battery powered, did you have a controller for it?
No, I don't think so. It was just you put I think you just put the batteries in the car
and let them go.
Or turn the car on, and they just went.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I like that.
You had to reach in and move these little gates around to direct where it would go.
Gotcha. That's a good toy. That sounds like a lot of fun. Not as much fun as my number 4, though.
Okay, I'll believe you.
Just got to say. So, of course, being that we're pretty close to the same age, you had to be a $6 Million Man fan. And if not, we could end the podcast now. But I had several of the $6 Million Man things. I didn't have a ton of them. So this is the time that I want to take a quick little side jaunt here to tell you a story about the most valuable lesson I ever learned was when I got for Christmas the Bionic Mission vehicle that you could put him in. And it had a little winch that would come down and he would grab the uranium or whatever for him to save the day. And I remember it closing my eyes. I could see the living room. and opening up the box, and there's that toy, you know. And my dad, the voice of reason, was like, okay, well, let's take, you know, the instructions and let's put on the stick. No, Dad, I know how this works. I've seen the commercial like 1,000,000 times. Oh. He's like, well, yeah, but let's see. No, I got it. And so I grabbed it, and I grabbed the little winch, and I yanked. I could still hear the little plastic snapping like dry bones in the fall. And that was it. I broke all the spokes on it, and it never worked.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I always read the instructions now. But that year for Christmas, and no other year ever as a child, did I open up the $6 Million Man's Bigfoot, the Sasquatch beast. Yes. It wasn't until probably 5 or 6 years ago that I ever owned a Bigfoot, the bionic Bigfoot.
Right.
You know, and I was able to buy one on eBay where the one of the arms was broken. But he still had the chest plate, you know, when you hit the chest plate. So I took it, and you know me, I don't mind playing around with them. And I kind of just did all my stuff and sanded it and put it all back together. And it, you know, it looks okay. I have it in my little cabinet with all my other $6 Million Mans, but never got that one for Christmas, you know. Can't say. I mean, I remember I had a Maskatron, so Steve had somebody to fight, you know, and what I think, the Bigfoot had 4 points of articulation. Like he moved at the shoulders and maybe moved the legs at the hips or something, and that was it. So it's kind of more of an inaction figure than.
Hey, now
I know who we're talking about. I know his head didn't move either. You know.
Well, there were lights in there.
That's right. All right, but so let's move away from that sad story, and you regale us with your number 3 toy.
Well, it's interesting that your number 4 was a $6 Million Man toy.
Oh,
just like coincidence. My number 3.
Yes,
you had a Maskatron.
I did.
I never got a Maskatron.
That was a great toy.
I looked at the ads in the comic that they advertised that one in the comic books a lot. I was getting probably mainly Harvey comics, Casper and Richie Rich and all, and it seemed like there was lots of $6 Million Man ads in there. And
yep.
Well, okay, also Looney Tunes. Anyway, some Whitman's comics. Anyway. Yeah, so I saw the mask. I'm sure there was probably commercials on TV, but I don't remember those. I remember the comic book ad because
it was a great ad. Oh yeah,
kept reading those comics over and over and over again, seeing that ad over and over again. And I had the $6 Million Man. I had both versions of the Bionic Woman.
Ooh.
I had Oscar Goldman in his briefcase.
Yeah, Oscar.
Briefcase was.
And his headset, because he came with a headset at first, but everybody lost it.
I don't remember if I had a headset or not.
You kind of look like Oscar right now.
Thank you. I'm sure you do too. But anyway, Maskatron, yes, that is what I wanted, and I didn't ever get it. So I don't remember who I had my $6 Million Man fight, because I just had the Bionic Women and the $6 Million Man, and then I had Steve, all right. So my mother.
Steve's a lover, not a fighter. So
well, yeah, I guess. Well, let me tell you. Being that my mother, I told you, but the only child I am the son of was my mother,
mm-hmm.
and the grandparent I probably hung out the most with was her mother.
Right.
I had a Skipper figure, a doll at one point, and she kind of went along with, she was the same size as $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman. So, sure. And I used the Big Jim, big RV for the $6 Million Man to go around in.
Yeah.
But I don't remember I must have been more of a hero thing.
Right.
Than fighting a villain.
Exactly.
And
did he throw a concrete laden pole into the side of the RV every once in a while?
No, so I listened to the $6 Million Man episode, and
Okay.
I went, wow, I thought, I was really big into the $6 Million Man and all that, but apparently I don't remember hardly anything. The episodes I remember are the ones where he was fighting the space probe.
Oh yeah,
those
death probe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those two episodes where they redesigned it and had him fight it again, essentially.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I remember best. But the rest of them you guys are talking about and going, wow, I guess since I haven't seen them since they were in, and I think I was too young to see them first run, so I was watching them in syndication.
Yeah, me too. I mean, maybe the third, fourth seasons I was probably old enough to watch it, but they were heavy into rotation.
Yeah,
you could catch it all the time.
Yeah, so I'm sure I saw all those episodes, but since I haven't seen them, I've never had them on video or anything.
Yeah,
I haven't seen them since then. So
they're on the Peacock.
Oh, okay.
You can watch them with commercials. No, that one's free.
Well, I mean, yeah, but we haven't like added it to our road.
Oh, okay. Yet. Yeah, it's got commercials, but it's pretty cool. Yeah. That's a great pick. See, we would have been cool hanging out because I could have. Did you have Bigfoot?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I wouldn't have played with you.
No villains. No villains, just heroes.
Well, my number 3 is more of a. It probably would have been one of my first techie toys. Or am I mispronouncing Trekkie toys? I'm talking about 1974's Star Trek communicators from Mego. And they were actually working walkie-talkies that you'd flip open. Now, they were this weird blue color. So the base, the body was blue, and then the part that flipped open, the antenna screen, was like a dark blue. And of course, it had the extending Star Wars lightsaber-ish antenna that would pop out.
Yeah.
But man, those things were gold. I remember because I think you could pop it open and like do, because I knew Morse code, at 4. Yeah. I don't tell a lot of people that, but. Had a buddy.
Did you get beat up over this? Maybe.
No, I got beat up for so many other things.
Okay.
And to go along with that, they had the tricorder with the same weird blue colors, but it was a cassette recorder.
Oh,
yeah. So you could have both toys. They would tear through the batteries at 99 cents a pack. But man, they were so cool because I had the Starfleet phaser target game. And so it would come with phasers that you could set up these little reflective targets and shoot a light beam at it. Or I also had the ones that you could put the little discs. Remember when we were kids, you could shoot the disc and you could replace them with pennies if you really hated the person you were playing against. So I had the phasers, but man, I never got the communicators or the tricorders, and doggone it, I wish that is one thing I remember asking for. But I guess because I got the phaser game that, he just wanted a Star Trekky thing. But that one, man, wanted that one big time. Not as much as the next two, but pretty big.
Okay. I want to say that I've seen a comic book ad for those communicators, but I could be. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen an ad for walkie-talkies. Maybe they weren't Star Trek.
Well, you remember the ones that I actually ended up getting though when I was much older, probably 9 or 10. Do you remember the Chiquita banana walkie-talkies that you could get the stickers and then send them in with some money? I think
I may have seen an ad for that too. Yeah.
That's the ones I ended up with.
I think those are just as cool as the Star Trek.
Now I think they're very cool. But so you know what would be very cool?
Mm-hmm.
Your number 2.
My number 2.
Oh, wait a minute. That doesn't come out right.
Oh dear. Yeah, you've been doing this podcast how long? Okay, so you may be shocked that this is my number 2.
Well, I know it's not Skipper because you've already said that you've had one. So
yeah, my number 2 of my my Fave Five. Sorry, got to get the name right.
yeah, don't say the T word.
Was another toy that Cody had, my friend in elementary school.
Hey, Cody.
I never got. Rom the Space Knight.
No, really.
He's my number 2. He's not.
Wow. I wonder what your number 1's going to be. So I have to make a confession here. Rom was not on my radar when I was 9 or 10 years old, but he was on yours. So tell us about it.
All right, well, I don't know. I think we're done. I think that's the end of the podcast. We're done.
It's the end of the friendship, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so what order did things happen in? I don't really remember. I can't tell you where I first saw Rom, but I suspect I saw ads on TV. But what happened was my friend Cody, he got him for a birthday or Christmas or something. He got lots of cool toys. I'm sure I did too. But you always want the thing you didn't have. That's why we're doing this list.
That's right.
So he got a Rom Space Knight, and we played with him. He was cool to play with, but and then I'm not sure if I don't know that I have the timeline. I had always had comic books in my life. My parents and grandparents were always buying me Looney Tunes and Casper and Richie Rich and all that when I was little. So I can't remember not having comic books. But I decided to start collecting comic books, and in 82.
Okay.
With Star Wars.
Good choice.
Because I was a huge Star Wars fan. I was 6 when it came out. So, this was kind of mind blowing. Right. Never seen anything like that before. So anyway, I was all into Star Wars. So I said, I'm going to start collecting the Star Wars comic. So Cody, we're best friends. He decides he's going to start collecting comics. He's going to start collecting Rom Space Knight. Oh. So he started collecting Rom, and I'm collecting Star Wars. And let's see, at this point, it was Star Wars, was it number 56, I think, when I started reading? So it's after I had actually bought some of the Empire Strikes Back adaptation, but I wasn't really considering myself a collector yet. Anyway, and so after I got some traction on Star Wars, it was like, he's telling me about Rom the Space Knight, because the all the mythos is in the comic. It's not the toy. Right.
And he's 30 something issues in by
it was 20 something.
20 something. Okay.
It was 20 something because I got interested and I started buying it too, so we can talk about it and all this. Yeah. So I started buying Rom with number 25.
Ah, okay. Good double size issue with 2 Roms and a Galactus.
I guess on the last page, yeah. Okay.
Spoiler alert, sorry.
The thing is that I can be a little obsessive. So I out collected him on Rom.
Oh, wow.
And so by issue, I think I ended up actually, I got subscriptions direct from Marvel for Star Wars and Rom coming in little plain brown wrapper.
I got Star Wars and G.I. Joe.
Ah, okay. So come issue 32 and 33, I bought them for Cody, and he was going to take them and pay me back.
Yeah.
And he never did. I still have those. I still have 2 copies of 32 and 33 because of that. So he kind of gave up. He didn't stick with it very long, but I stuck with it to the end.
Yeah.
But I never got the action figure. And I have done, back when eBay first started, I started going, I wonder if I can pick up some of those Christmas catalogs, and so I only picked up a couple. I picked up I think maybe a Sears one from '79 and a Montgomery Ward's from 1980. Rom's price got cut in half.
Wow.
In a year.
Wow.
So I'm pretty sure I must have seen him on the toy shelves, but I really don't remember. But
yeah,
the comic outlasted the toy, and I never once the toy was gone from the stores and the comic's still going. I never saw one. I never got one. My parents never got me one.
But now you have a beautiful, beautiful copy behind.
Well, now I have three.
Oh, okay.
So I picked one up on eBay, complete, no box, no, it's just the figure, the accessories, and the cord. And then I had the one in the box given to me, and then I picked up at some point. I've forgotten now. I picked up another one. He's just bare. It's just the action figure. So that means that I've kept this one in the box. All right, I'll be honest. I've opened the box, but I've never taken him off the cardboard.
It's not meant.
Well, I wanted to see the instructions because there was no other way for me. I recreated the instructions on my website. I wanted to make sure I got it right. All I'd seen was a photo. Somebody sent me a photocopy before I got this boxed one.
Yeah.
But that's in black and white, and this
got that green to it, doesn't it?
Instructions has got that. Yeah, it's got that extra green. I think it's green and blue text. Anyway. So number 2, believe it or not, the ROM guy. Nope.
Cannot wait to hear what number 1 is. So before we get there, I'll tell you my number 2 is not actually even a toy. It's not even a game. So I was a huge fan of the Starlog magazine, which I'm sure you read. And many, many times we'd get to the very back of the Starlog, and I would find myself wistfully imagining exciting adventures from the disco to the outer limits of space, wearing my Warriors battle jacket and having my Warriors battle pack slung across my shoulders straight from Battlestar Galactica. You remember those ads? Those full with the whole galactic family, the father, the mother, the boy, and the little girl. And they all had the jackets with the clips, the magnetic clips in the front. Oh man, I wanted that toy, that set so bad.
I do think I remember seeing that. My father was big into Star Trek. And so he bought Starlog regularly. So I didn't necessarily read it that much, but I did flip through it a lot, all of it.
Well, this was 1979. Of course, they came out, I'm sure, for a few years. You could see it maybe in Famous Monsters, maybe too. And I know that recently, like within probably the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a company that's recreated them. And you can get the classic ones, or you can get the ones from the Ron Moore Battlestar reboot. And I've found pictures of them, of the original ones. And I'm probably pretty happy that I never did get them, because from what I've seen, the colors are off, and almost every one of them has chipped away where the magnets would go together for it. But man, I was sitting here when I was going through this list, and I came across that ad again, and I was like, I can remember their little bling, like lens flares coming off of those clasps. And I was like, man, I wanted that so bad. And Battlestar Galactica really only lasted like a little over a year, so I guess it's just made an impact. And I totally forgot about the battle pack, which was this cool little rough sack, but it was a cylindrical in shape, even though it was fabric, and it had that Battlestar patch on the end. I was just thinking, that kid, you can see he's probably about 9 or 10 years old in the ad, and he's got that look like he's looking just off of camera, and he's got this Yeah. I looked to his face. I was like, oh, man, that could have been me. But anyway. All right. Well, that brings us to the most heartfelt, heartbreakingest number one toy you never got as a kid. It's not Rom, so I'm clueless. Drop it on me. What's your number one toy you never got?
So number one, here you go. I mentioned I was big into Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, I guess pretty much when Star Wars came out, that's probably when I stopped playing with the $6 Million Man and all that, because I started getting the Kenner action figures.
Uh-huh.
I still have all my Star Wars toys. Some of them my action figures are here. I brought them to my house now. The vehicles and stuff are still at my parents' house. I haven't figured out where to put them yet. If you go look in my Facebook feed from a couple years ago, they're in there. So I did not get the early bird special on the action figures. I wasn't that up on things because I was 6. But eventually I got all the first wave of action figures. I got the second wave of action figures from the original movie. I got the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter, and I got Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, and I got the Land Speeder. And then Empire came out, and I'm sorry, I guess in between the second wave and Star Wars, I got my proofs of purchase, and I sent away for Boba Fett.
Yes.
Got my Boba Fett. And then Empire came out, and I started getting all the Empire figures. And I would have to go check. I think I may have all the Empire figures. And then when Jedi came out, I was like 12.
Uh-huh.
So I wasn't playing with Star Wars toys so much at that point. So at that point, my collection kind of ends.
Right.
I guess I got an ATST around that time. But the one Star Wars toy that I never got, and I thought it looked so cool, was not featured in any of the movies. It's something Kenner said, we need a toy. we need more toys for kids to buy. We've gone through, we've done a movie now.
Yeah.
We're out of stuff. We did all the stuff from the movie. What are we going to do? So they created this thing called the Imperial Troop Transport.
Yes! I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, so it was this little, it was this vehicle. It had kind of had a squarish cockpit on the front, and then the back had 3 slots on each side for the action figures to sit in. Right.
Or stand in, because I think they're like...
Yeah, stand in. I'm sorry, yes. They stood in. And you could put a guy in the cockpit, I believe. And it was electronic, and it had voices recorded in it.
Yeah.
And I think I read a description said something about a droid holding area or something. So, I think you could even throw another action figure or two in between the guys standing on the outside.
Yeah.
And I wanted that one. And I really wanted that one. And I never got that one particular Star Wars toy. I never got. I got a remote control R2-D2, which I'm sure was very expensive back then. I need to find that. My mother's convinced it's here somewhere. That's the one Star Wars toy that is currently not exactly known where it is. But anyway, and I'm still I went to the local comic book convention last year, and a guy had an Imperial Troop Transport, and I am still tempted to buy one.
Yeah.
Even though I don't need it. I'm not going to play with it. And
what does that even come into it? I mean, nobody even worries about those things.
I don't have any place to display it.
Yeah.
Even. So that's why all my Star Wars stuff is still in boxes, because I don't have any place to put it. I got too much other stuff. I have an R2-D2 collection that's sitting here near me.
Yeah, that's a cool one. So you do know, I'm sure you know, that it's not exactly correct to say that toy has never been, the vehicle that toy is based off of has never been seen in Star Wars before, right? Now, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, Marvel used it in the comics.
Right.
Points. I know that, and
So have you watched The Mandalorian?
I
It
have.
is.
Okay.
They use it when they're in the city, and he ends up jumping into it, and there's a robot piloting it or driving it, I guess, and he goes to, he's going to shoot the robot basically. But it's the troop transport. I mean, when it came on the screen, it was instantly recognizable to me because I remembered it being one of those not anywhere else. A toy basically made just to sell a toy. Right. Hey, let's buy the Imperial short bus for our stormtroopers. Yeah, but no, you have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, so I've only watched each episode of The Mandalorian once so far.
Yeah.
But my kids, my youngest son, he likes Star Wars, so he was watching it with me, and then Baby Yoda showed up, and so then my daughter was like, ah! So we all watched The Mandalorian together, but we've only watched it through once. But since season 2 starts at the end of next month, we probably ought to do a recap because I forgot that was in there. But
yes.
I do distinctly remember there is an issue of the Marvel comic. I want to say it's somewhere in the 30s.
Uh-huh.
They used the troop transport.
That's cool. I didn't know that. That's cool. That's a great number one.
And I may still buy one someday. Just so
I think you should.
I may have to play with it for 15 minutes and then put it back up on eBay.
I don't even know, but they've been putting out those legacy toys, so they might put it back out or have put it back out, and it's a lot cheaper than the original one.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
I've seen the figures they're making these days. They're not the same as my figures.
No. But the toys had my favorite Star Wars toy of all time was the Snow Speeder. I just loved the way it looked, and it had that little, and you could put the two figures in it. And
yeah, so I don't have as much. Like I said, I got all the vehicles for the first movie. Once Empire came out, I wasn't getting action figures, but I wasn't getting as many as other toys. I got the AT-ST.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if that came out, if I got that after Empire or after Jedi.
Yeah.
And I think that was the last Star Wars toy. That was the last big Star Wars toy I got.
Yeah. I never got an AT-AT. That same guy who had the Starbird had an AT-AT.
Yeah, I had, so one of my other friends in elementary school, he and his brother had the AT-AT. And the reason my mother bought me the AT-ST is because she said she talked to that my friend's mother.
Uh-huh.
And said, yeah, you really need two people to do this.
Yeah. So this one you could do yourself.
Yeah, so the AT-ST, it's got a button on the back. You make it sit there and make it walk.
That's cool. I wouldn't know. I never had one. But it's not on my list.
Okay.
Because there were other things I wanted.
I'm sure.
And that brings us to the number one thing I always wanted and never got. But there's a reason I never got it. Two reasons. First of all, I guess I never asked for it hard enough. But second of all, it's because they never existed. What's he talking about? 1982, 1983, a series comes on TV, a movie first, and then a series that blew me away. Came on NBC, talking about The Visitors.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was it awesome, you got the lizards and you got face peeling off, and you've got Jane Badler eating a gerbil or whatever it was. But there's that one scene when after they've been there for a while, and I think it was Mark Singer, and there's a bunch of kids playing with visitors as toys. There's the little spaceship. I
remember that.
Yeah. So it's in the TV show, and I was like, oh man, those are going to be coming out. And I was in junior high, but I was still a huge nerd. And so I wanted to find those figures, and I looked and looked and looked. And of course, you didn't have the internet back then, so you couldn't go and look it up. was it for years that I found out that they actually never made them. The only thing they ever made was a 12-inch visitor toy, like an action figure.
I think I remember seeing ads for that.
Yeah. And I think they made like some communicators, the same type of like the Mego did, where they looked at now. You could now get them. I think there's a company like, I don't think it's Retroactive. I think it's one of the other ones though that has made them, but they haven't made the ship, and they haven't made the gun. Which, to this day, even as an adult, I can't believe that they didn't capitalize on what a huge market that was. Because
really,
I remember in junior high school, everybody talking about that show. I remember when John got his face ripped off, and showed it underneath. We were talking about that for days, and even at 12, 13, 14, I knew that Diana was a babe. Yeah.
Yep.
She's a lizard. Yeah. Okay. But,
best looking lizard I've seen.
I know, huh? So that's the toy I never got, but I guess I got to be okay with it since they never made them.
Yeah. That makes it difficult.
Yeah. Well, wow. My heart is just so pained right now, pulling up all of these bad memories. But I can't end a show about toys without telling you a quick story about what happened to my Star Wars figures.
Oh, dear. Okay.
So I got to the age, probably around 12, 13 or so, where I wasn't playing with them as much. Now, I had a bunch of Buck Rogers figures and G.I. Joe figures and some Star Wars figures. And pretty much we weren't playing with them. And my parents said, okay, well, we need to go ahead. We're going to have a garage sale and you need to sell them. And I was like, no, I don't want to sell those figures. But word came down from high. They needed to be sold. So we put them out on the folding table that we use for our camping trips, and my parents put a quarter each for them. And I had some cousins come by, and they were like, "Oh wow, these are great!" And they like bought them. Almost all of the were left. They bought them up, and that was okay because they're kind of staying in the family. And even though I'm not playing with them that much anymore, I can go over to their house, and we can hang out, and I could play with them then. They had this cool, big building in the back of their house where they had like all this crap in it and a pool table, and you could play all. So a couple of weeks later, I go over their house, and my mom, it's her sister, so my mom is hanging out with her sister, and I'm like, let's go out and play with the toys. And I go out there, and they're like, yeah, we really don't have that many to play with anymore. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I bought like 20 or 30 of them. And as we start walking out, there's an area of like dirt, a patch of dirt where they do it. And I literally see the strewn limbs of my blown up action figures.
Oh no.
They like put those M5 things and taped it together, and like Sid from Toy Story.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
I am so sorry.
So when they come and interview you on TV one day, and you can look at him and say, yeah, I figured he'd go crazy. I remember this story he told me.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So I have to answer real quick with a story to that. My grandmother bought me a lot of stuff at yard sales, a lot of toys at yard sales. That's why I had a Big Jim camper, and I didn't know who Big Jim was for my $6 Million Man. At a yard sale, I think when I was with my grandparents once, we got the Mego USS Enterprise bridge set.
Ooh, with the spinning transporter.
Yes, with the complete crew.
Wow, really?
Had the entire crew. Had nobody else. No aliens at all. Just the crew. And I picked that at yards. I played with that a lot. Yeah, especially the transporter. This transporter was really cool. And then, a few years later, it went out at the yards that we've It's like, I don't play with this anymore. It's going out. I think that's where the $6 million action figures went too.
Oh,
Put them out in a yard sale. Now, I'm hoping that mine are still somewhere intact. That somebody picked them up and loved them, and maybe they played with them until they fell apart.
Yeah.
Maybe they're sitting in somebody else on somebody's shelf now somewhere.
Right. I love the Mego figures. We could do a whole show on the Mego figures.
Those were the ones I had.
Really?
Yeah.
I love not just the Mego, but I think what was it, Lincoln or LJN made a series called The Rookies, and they were, I think, later turned into the SWAT. You had, of course, not just the superheroes. Excuse me. You had the Planet of the Apes. You had Wizard of Oz. All those. Oh my God, those Migos were so. They were the shizzle. Didn't have a lot of them, but I really had, because I loved the SWAT show, so I had almost all of those. Yeah. But,
can I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
To close out the episode, and unless you had something else in mind.
Go ahead.
Can we recap our top 5 real quick and say whether we got them?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Child?
Yeah, that's a great idea. You go ahead. So your number 5, Starbird.
Okay.
See it behind you.
No, Intruder. I don't have the Intruder.
Oh, that's right. I'm looking at my list.
I have a Starbird. Yes, I do have a Starbird now. I don't have an Intruder. And I wasn't honestly looking for the Starbird I got. It was just like, they've got it.
I'll send you $20.
No, for a while. So anyway, Starbird and I got a Starbird. I do not have a still do not have an Intruder.
Right.
The Highway Police Chase set, I don't think I've ever seen one of those in person.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not a licensed thing, so the people that might be interested are probably the ones that had one they were little, or maybe people like me who's like, I never got one. Number 3 was Maskatron. I never got a Maskatron, and I don't have any $6 million toys anymore. So
oh, wow.
I probably will not get one of those. Number 2, Rom the Space Knight. Yeah, like I said, I got 3 now.
Yeah.
I picked up a few of those. And the Imperial, number 1, the Imperial Troop Transport. I still have never bought one, but I'm tempted every time I see one for sale somewhere until I see the price tag.
Yeah. Well, okay, so my number 5, don't have it, Starbird. You have it. You'll send it to me. That'll be great. My number 4, $6 Million Man Bigfoot. I do have one now. Don't have it in the box, but still. Star Trek communicators and tricorders. Nope, don't have that. The Battlestar Galactica New Warrior Battle Jacket and Battle Pack. Don't have that.
Are you going to buy? You said there was a company making.
There is.
Are you going to get one?
I don't have that same svelte figure that I had when I was that age, so
it'll be fine.
I'll look like what, Boomer, or what was the guy's name, the chubby guy?
Oh, I'd forgotten. Anyway, you could maybe your daughters would like to wear them.
Yeah, maybe so. Or maybe I could get a Will Riker bodice that will help.
There you go.
And of course, number 1, I don't have them, but right. I may go out and try to find that company that's been making them. They look like they would be made from the 80s. Great toy line, that Reaction, but I'm not sure who did these. So we're both 1 for 1 then. You've got your Rom.
I'm 2. No, you're right. I'm sorry. I don't have the Intruder. I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah, we're right.
And then I have mine. So, hey, we're doing pretty good. We're 20% of what we wanted, So, awesome. Well, listen, this has been a ton of fun. I'm glad that we finally got to sit down and do it.
Yep.
And I can't wait for the next episode that we're going to do, because it is going to be my foray into video podcasts, and I'm so looking forward to doing it. I've just got to get my hair and makeup guy over here, and then we'll be ready. But
yeah, I got to get a haircut before we do that.
I send you, my guy, which is a set of clippers that I got at Walmart.
I got a guy. It's my wife. At least during these times.
Yeah. Amen. So anything else you want to throw out before we wrap it up?
I think we have probably done enough. It's been a pleasure to be on your podcast.
Well, thank you
very
sir.
much.
I'm very excited to have you on here, and I want to thank you for taking the time out, because I know you did, a good bit of research to getting everything together. And I'd also like to thank all of you out there in the podcast universe for joining us for this episode of Fave Five from Fans. We love putting out the show, and we'll continue to release episodes every Friday, notwithstanding another hurricane. You can find us on our shiny new website, www.fave5fromfans.com. You can still find us at the Acadiana Open Channel's podcast network, or you can subscribe to us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, and as of this week, iHeartRadio. Woo, yeah, we've made it now. And pretty much really anywhere you can catch a podcast. Please remember to review and give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen, so more people can hear about the show and we can continue to grow Fave 5. It really means a lot to us. If you want to just say a quick word, but if nothing else, just leave us that 5-star review and it'll help us push up in the ratings. Really hoping to break the top 1,000. You can also interact with us at Twitter at Fave, the number 5 from Fans, on our Facebook page, and on the gram. I always mess that up. And on the gram, as the kids say. Well, most of the kids. Lily doesn't say it. We here at Fave Five from Fans are excited to be part of the Slightly Irregular Podcast Network. You can find us at sipnet.us or on the gram. The SIP network is a varied group of podcasters like the Terrible Terror Podcast, the Podcast from Another World, Dead Hand Radio, the Paranormal Activity, Angry Dad Podcast, Back in Time Podcast. I just love singing that. From the Wastes. And us, Fave Five from Fans. And remember, folks, it may not be the best, it may not be the most popular, but if it's your favorite, then it's good enough for us. Lee, say goodnight.
Good night.
This is Hulk Boy from Hollywood, signing off.